Finally getting his turn with the Tuneup Treatment, it is the Stag Beetle starter of the Medarot 3 and 4, ready to come back with a fresh kit, some upgrades to help make his mark clear in the Stag Beetle family. It is KWG-05M Dorcus, regraded, with a kit of radar sight, sword, hammer, biped legs, and the leg ability of Beeloader, which buffs his evade stat relative to the amount of charge he has in his Metaforce gauge. Now, as another very beginner-friendly model, Dorcus takes very much so after Saikachi's in the same respect, given that he's very well-rounded, his attacks are very easy to use, and it's a very well-known kit, very easy to learn, that anyone can basically use fresh out of the box. And in comparison to other Stag Beetle types, which may take a more samurai or Ronin-based appearance, Dorcus has a more knightly appearance to it, which most certainly will help him stand out in comparison to his fellow Eastern brethren of the Stag Beetle family. Radar Sight on the head part is a support-based skill that will grant a 50% success bonus to himself and all allies on the team. In addition, Radar Sight will also remove any stealth or conceal effects of the enemy side as long as the effect remains active. So if the enemy tries to hide from you in the shadows or try to bypass any shields or get past you, Radar Sight says, no sir, that is not happening. You can still attack freely who you're trying to take out and not let anyone past you at all. Basic Sword on the right arm is a very beginner-friendly and very user-friendly melee skill that has no drawbacks or penalties on cooldown or heat, so it's a very user-friendly skill that can be used anywhere with no drawback or penalty. Very well-rounded stats, decent power, very easy part to use. Same can be said for Hammer on the left arm, which is another conventional melee skill, but it is a full AoE attack, meaning that upon attacking the target, it will spread the damage equally across all 4 or all active parts when damaging them. Now, thanks to Silent Leader, this suddenly has a whole lot more viability than before, because it's now capable of flushing out enemy leaders when it damages their head part. Now, one other thing to mention is the fewer parts that the enemy has active when attacking them with Hammer, the less damage gets equalized and the more noticeable that attack will be across all parts. The only time it will not be an AoE type of attack is if the enemy grazes it, or if it is vilified by, say, a conceal effect, which will pool all the damage for that one particular part. Same can be said for if they are using a shield to try to tank it. Biped legs means that he's going to have pretty solid coverage across most terrains, and the ability of Beeloader means that compared to most other members of the KWG family, which tend to focus more on speed or power, Dorcus likes to focus more on his ability to dodge or graze, and really tie into that effect, especially with the speed nature metal that a Stag Beetle type metal is, to help guarantee that he's going to keep his damage as low as possible by being unable to be touched, or nearly unable to be touched, with a much higher evade. Now, when meta changing, he will change his form out and his kit out entirely for a much stronger Hammer, anti-air, anti-sea, multi-legs, and the leg ability of Breakneck. Now, for those that are very well aware of what Dorcus brings to the table, that means that while he's in this mode, he will become an absolute terror to anyone that is using flight or sea legs specifically. While he may or may not be the fastest on the field, he does comp this very well with Breakneck, which is that passive boost to heat upon attacking the target and advancing forward. And of course with Hammer, I won't go into detail again, it is a conventional attack that is an AoE. Anti-air is a conventional, or at least the melee version of it anyway, is a conditional attack that upon attacking someone with a flight-based leg will deal a ×7 damage modifier when attacking the target. Same can be said for anti-sea with any sea-based enemies respectively, making him very well-rounded in the particular punishment type coverage that he can bring to the table, in contrast to Saikachi's, which focuses more on being an all-rounder and focusing on more dedicated shooting in his alt mode. When it comes to Tuneup treatments, much like it was with Saikachi's, Dorcus tends to focus more on overall survivability more than it is power or any particular extra bonuses to that. But that honestly means that since he is already kind of squishy already, a lot of these bonuses are going to be pretty helpful to him as long as they remain in effect. For Head of Radar Sight, he has access to plus 200 to armor, plus 100 to heat, and Radar Sight gets a plus 120% boost to its base modifier once it's active. This means that if you weren't already having a very high likelihood of landing hits and crits, Well, guess what? You are absolutely going to, no matter what, as long as that buff remains active, because 120% is going to be incredibly noticeable, and that's not even touching on the negation of conceal or stealth effects, which means once it's active, you are going to be dealing a lot, and I mean a lot of pain, as long as that buff is active. Right arm of sword has access to 300 to armor, plus 200 to power, and a 30% damage bonus when piercing. So same with Saikachi's rifle in this respect. Now, this one was kind of hard to pick, because compared to Saikachi's, Dorcus's overall stats when it comes to damage aren't as bad, so he can kind of afford to go without a power bonus. And that's honestly why I went with the pierce damage bonus, obviously, and going instead in favor of armor, which means he can stay in the fight a lot longer, and it's going to be a lot harder to break things on him, because also in similarity to Saikachi's, Dorcus is kind of squishy and very easy to break if you are able to successfully outrun him. For his hammer, he has access to plus 200 to armor, 200 to power, and 100 to heat. So same case in this respect as well. I would honestly prioritize survivability over damage in this respect, going for the 200 to armor and the 200 to power, so you can kind of get the best of both worlds in this respect. But I would prioritize the armor over that, because the more he has, the longer he can stay on the field. For his legs, he has access to plus 200 to armor, plus 100 to mobility, and S rank on grassland and arena terrains. So again, much like it is with other models that have that terrain bonus, it's going to be nice to have, but those are already terrains he's already going to be A rank on anyway, and that extra 10% won't necessarily make or break you, but it's going to be ultimately your choice if you go that direction. Whereas the plus 100 to mobility and 200 to armor are absolutely going to be very noticeable, and that speed bonus will definitely come in handy to help keep that edge on the competition, which when tied with an iconic speed nature medal, means he definitely will have a speed advantage across most foes unless they are designed exclusively to outrun him, which is going to be kind of fewer and far between unless they're using a leg that's just absurdly that fast. Now, when it comes to transforming, he will be getting a more diverse set of bonuses relative in comparison to Saikachi's. While in change mode, he has access to tune-up bonuses such as plus 200 to success, which is drive A of hammer, and plus 50 to heat and cool. Now, obviously in this respect, the plus 200 to success is going to be the really big one to shoot for, because 50 to heat and cool, I really hate to say it, is really not going to be noticeable. Now, you can probably shoot for those as like secondary bonuses after you cap out that 200 success, but that success and likelihood of landing hits and crits is going to be much more noticeable than just a very slight upgrade at best, because that plus 50 is probably between 1 and 3% maybe on a good day. Drive B and Drive C, actually, which share the same bonuses, will have a plus 100 to success, plus 100 to power, and plus 100 to heat and cool, respectively. Now, I was kind of at a loss with this one because you can go a lot of different directions with these bonuses, given between success and power and heat cool, but I would have to give heat and cool the big bonuses here in particular because they are very valuable and they are going to be the most noticeable. Higher heat and cool means you have a higher speed. Power means you're going to be even more aggressive when you unleash that terror that is surface to air or surface to sea. And his legs have access to plus 200 to shoot and melee resist, plus 100 to mobility, and S rank on foothills terrain, which he already has A rank on. So it again goes without saying that extra damage reduction for overall protection and that speed bonus tied with Breakneck kind of obviously go hand in hand and explain by itself why those are going to be the best bonuses to shoot for. Tying all this together, I did originally grade Dorcus a pretty well-rounded 8.5 out of 10 as a pure set and a 7 out of 10 as a mixed parts for his very well-rounded and very beginner-friendly kit. Albeit he was relatively squishy and easy to outrun or counter, once he is changed or once he does have that advantage on the field, it's going to be kind of hard to get past him. Taking these bonuses into effect post-tune-up, I would have to bump his overall scores to a 9 out of 10 for his pure set and an 8 out of 10 for his mixed parts, because whether you choose to use him as mixed or as a pure, he still maintains the fact he is a very well-rounded model that can be used fresh out of the box, and the coverage against anti-air and anti-sea foes only ties to what he can bring to the table as the very well-rounded Stag Beetle type.